Welcome to Sisterhood Check-In. I am your author and coach, Nadira Lewis, and it is Friday. Woo! And I am excited, as always, when you take Fridays and spend the evening with me and my guests on Sisterhood Check-In. And I can't tell you how much it's not gone without notice, how much I appreciate each and every one of you that watch, whether it's on a replay, whether you're watching live. Thank you so much. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the notification button and make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so that you can be notified every time we upload a new video. If you are watching us via Facebook, make sure you click like and share if you are blessed by the content that we actually bring each and every Friday. So thank you guys so much again for watching. I'm excited. I can't wait to introduce my amazing guest. She's not new here on the Sisterhood Check-In broadcast, but she is always welcome. I love being able to converse with her, and I cannot wait to talk to her about some of the new things that she's been doing in her life. So make sure you go get your coffee, get your tea, and make sure you call up your girlfriend and tell them Sisterhood Check-In is on the air. We're going to go ahead and play this video. And when we get back, the next person you'll see alongside of me is my special guest, Ms. Leva Styles.
Sometimes it's not enough to be reminded that Jesus hasn't left you or forgotten you. We need to declare it over ourselves, over others. No matter the season you may find yourself in, no matter the depths of darkness you're wading through, you can join him in declaring the truth that God is light upon your feet, whether or not you can see the next step, that God is your strength, even though the weight of life seems to be crushing you down. And that when your job, your marriage, your relationship, your health feels like it's coming to a dead end, there is only one God that can make dead things live again. These are his promises, and they're the only thing you need to declare over your life. So as you step into this next season or this next moment, you can declare that God's not done with you. He's just getting started. You can declare that the good work that he has started in you, he will surely complete it. You can declare that the same God that parted the seas goes before you, goes behind you. You can declare these promises over your life, over your family's life, over the people passing on the street. You can declare these truths over every circumstance, over every season of your life. You can declare that every day belongs to him and every new breath belongs to him. Because we have the power of a living God living inside of us. And this is our declaration.
Oh, wow. Welcome back here to Sisterhood Check-In. Aren't you guys? I'm telling you, every time I watch that video, I get just stirred up on the inside to be able to be aware of the power that is on the inside of you. Not only just the power, just aware of the power, but aware of the power displayed in your own personal life and in others around you. So, whew, I get excited. I be in the background like, yes. Well, welcome back here with Sisterhood Check-In. I have my amazing special guest with me, Miss Leva Styles. Welcome back to Sisterhood Check-In.
Happy, fantastic, fabulous Friday, Nadira.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation to come back here and visit with us here on Sisterhood Check-In. You've been with us and we've gone through you had written, this is, I believe, your second book
Yes.
That you've written, or your journal. The last time you were here with us, you went over the book that you were writing before. And so you are back sharing with us some amazing tools to help the average person that wants to grow in their position, whether it's at work or whether it's at, home, their personal life.
Mhm.
And so we're going to go ahead and get started with that. But for those of you that have not watched or have seen the broadcast with Leva Styles, Leva, why don't you explain to us, talk to my audience and tell them who you are and how did you become the woman that you are today?
Sure. And before I get started, thank you, Ms. Nadira Lewis, for having me on. I love this platform. I think you just do some fantastic things for women, for men as well, for the community overall. And I just love your story and how inspirational you've been. There's so much you bring to the table, and I thank you for that, for lifting all of us up. So my name's Leva Styles, and I am a happily married woman living in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also a bonus mom. I have some stepchildren. The younger ones are kind of moving out of the house now, and so it's been a pleasure being a bonus mom because I get that opportunity to kind of mentor and be a mom at the same time. I've also am in corporate America. I've been in corporate America for over 20 years. So much of my experiences in life, in terms of maneuvering through jobs and careers, helping, mentoring, coaching, kind of started in the corporate space.
Wow.
In terms of what I like to do, I love to work out. Trying to keep this 50-year-old body in shape, but it's not easy nowadays. So we got to accept our bodies for who they are.
Yeah.
And so I'm in that space, Nadira, where I'm learning to accept who it is I am as a person, learning to accept what I am physically. I'm not settling, but there are some things that we can't change. In terms of what else I like to do, like I said, I'm working is my full-time job, but on side hustles, resumes, I do resume makeovers, I edit books, I write books, as we'll talk about, and I love just helping other people to focus on how they can do things outside of the typical space, living their dreams in an entrepreneurial space. So I think the way I got started in this space, really my parents have been significantly influential, my mom and my dad, and just growing up in the church, but just realizing some things as I grew and taking their advice. My mom, really the more beautiful individual that just gave so much to people, and my dad, more of the go-getter, kind of aggressive person. You take those two personalities, you merge them together, and you get me. So over the years, I think you just start to get experiences from people that you meet, different associations, like I mentioned, mentoring, all these different things start to come together and they formulate you, your environment, how you view things, your values. And I really do I've learned to value spending time with family, spending time with my grandkids, even though they don't live here. They live in Virginia. That's one of the things I just really enjoy to do, because kids are just so free spirited. And they love being with me when they're young. When they grow up, you see a total difference. And so valuing that time that they enjoy having us around, to me, is one of the most important things in my life right now.
Yeah, it's amazing to it's amazing to be great in the workplace, in the business world, in the marketplace, but it's another thing to enjoy the simplicity of everyday life with your family,
Right.
to experience, because I believe those are memories that you're going to always have with you, because we're not going to be working all our lives,
No.
we're not going to be working
to, and if I do, that's not the plan, first of all. And the plan is not to be in corporate America all my life, or I want to be in a space as an entrepreneur doing something that I love to do.
Yeah.
Something like what you're doing, where you're actively helping other individuals.
Yeah.
You got that passive income, things of that sort, where you're really feeling joy out of what it is you're doing. And
Yeah.
it's interesting too, Nadira, because there was a time, I'll be totally honest, just with us girls here, I wasn't like really focused on family as much. So I was more focused on being in that corporate space, climbing the corporate ladder. Like, how can I get to the top? I want to be VP, I want to be SVP. And my vision at that time was, I want to be sitting at a boardroom table. That was my vision at that time. But it's amazing how, things change and you start to have a different appreciation and you go, wait a minute, like, that's not really my dream. That's doing something for someone else. How can I do something for me? So that's somebody else's. That's a corporation's goal. That's what they want. How can I do something for the legacy of our household? Something that really builds us up. So there's just been a paradigm shift over the years where, I've had more of an appreciation for family and relationships than admittedly I had before.
What do you think changed? What do you believe changed that? Because to go from a period of going into wanting to be in a VP, and then wanting to go at any high level corporation position, what happened or transpired in your life to change that? Because those are pretty big goals, and that's
I'll tell you what happened. COVID happened. And I'm not saying it like, I did have COVID, but that wasn't in and of itself. It was when COVID happened, we had so much more time to develop the talents of who we were. So when COVID happened, I was able to say, oh, wow, I can develop a online course. Didn't really know I could do that, but I had more time. And so, I can develop an online course and push it out there. Wow, I can review people's books. I can edit people's books. I have more time to read. I have more time to build a business, create a business and actually see it through. And being at home gave us that time. And then I started thinking about how much time we spend at work. Pre-COVID, you're spending all that time at work and you're going to work. So you're adding another hour on the front end, hour on the back end, not, wrestling through trying to hurry up and create dinner when you get home. All these things gave it like this hurried mentality.
Yeah.
And so when I got to sit with it, I realized I'm really working for the companies and the corporations. And oh, by the way, it will never be enough. Like, when is it enough of your time? They will constantly keep taking your time, and you'll always be on the hook for something. Now, that's not every single place that you're at.
Yeah.
There's some places like you're like a hotline. They're calling you all the time. And I realized that at the end of the day, that will always be the case. Unless you're working for yourself and you can manage things better in that space.
I think situations, including COVID, has helped us realize how much we put ourselves and our families on the back burner.
Yes.
And it has allowed us the opportunity, because now we're faced to pretty much make new decisions for our new adapted lifestyle.
Right.
Things that you may have always wanted to do, may have not had the time to do. Now time is no longer the issue.
Not an issue.
And now it's a matter of, you really looking at your gifts and skill sets and seeing, okay, what can I really do, outside the box? If you're a person that thought outside the box, now this was your opportunity to display what you're great at, what you bring to your community, what you bring to your household,
Absolutely.
So that's really awesome. But it also, I think COVID had also, even that whole process in that time frame, helped me to appreciate the little things, the little successes, because sometimes we're not really completely satisfied unless we're seeing something of great, what we consider to be of great value, unless people are significantly acknowledging all the great things that we're doing, and we're not even appreciating the little growth that we have. So that's why I was really when I actually got your book, I was like, this is great, because this is giving me, even as a business owner, the opportunity to slow down, look at what it is that I'm not only good at, like, but how I can, it's helping me to write it out,
Yeah.
like, like the Bible say, write the vision, make it plain.
Make
Some
it
things we
plain.
need to see plain for ourselves to see that, yeah, you may have gone through this and you may have had these, you might have these challenges that you go through, but this is something that you are good at. This is something
Right.
that you can do creatively, to be able to show your own talent and skills,
Exactly.
and be
That,
able to
that's
appreciate
it.
who you are
Yeah, I
as
was
an individual.
listening to a podcaster the other day, and she said a professor gave, when she was in school, a professor gave them an exercise of writing down 50 things that
Mhm.
they do well. 50 talents, 50 skills, or 50 things you like about yourself. It could be physical, it could be spiritual, it
Mhm.
could be, certain routines that you have. One of the things she said is she's excellent at cleaning her house in like 5 minutes or less. If she hears somebody's coming over, she said one
Wow.
time she just threw everything in the oven.
Is
It
she in
may
the
not
building?
be, yeah, yeah, but it may not be the right way to clean. It just
Oh.
looks clean because she said I just threw everything in the oven.
Oh my gosh! In the oven. I hope she doesn't have a glass in front of her oven.
but, but she said those, so 50 things, and sometimes, well, for
Wow.
some of us it might be easy, but when you start to write down and you reflect on, wow, like I'm good at this, like this is me, and you start to see that there's so much more to you than just the person that goes in to the
Yeah.
office. You may not get to use all those talents and skill sets in the office, so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Well, I
funny.
don't,
Like, throw everything in the oven. Like,
she threw it in the oven, and she said
wow.
when her mom came over and the sun did hit on the oven at some point, she had glass, and her mom was like, "Are those clothes in the oven?" That's nothing I would try, but yeah. So
Yeah.
that was her takeaway in terms of things she
Wow.
did really well.
You'd be
So,
surprised
but
what people go through to get through, we all say what we'll never do, but given in the right circumstances, we
yes,
all will kind of get some things done. And we don't want people to see, our
right,
vulnerability moments. It's like, oh God, just throw that mush out of the bed.
exactly.
My thing was throw it in the closet, throw it in the closet,
Yes,
throw it in the closet.
don't open
Nobody's
that
gonna be in my
closet.
room. But then
Right.
you go back and then you be like, dang, I gotta get that up. I forgot I threw that in the closet. It's like I
Yeah.
gotta pick that up. But in your
Where is
mind, you're
it?
like, nobody's gonna be coming and looking in my closet.
Not at
You gotta
all.
come up
Not
that
at all.
you gotta have you gotta have one part of your house that you're vulnerable in that nobody sees.
Exactly. Yeah, that's your space. That's your space. So I guess hers
Yes,
was the oven.
absolutely. With your we're gonna take a commercial break soon, but
Okay.
before we and then we'll get more into your book, My Good Stuff. But when you wrote this book, what when you actually wrote this journal, I keep saying book, but
Sure.
it's a journal.
Yes.
Book, when you actually created this journal, did you have anybody in particular in mind? Was
Good
it
question.
necessarily, were you basically thinking about the employees, or were you thinking more so because you're in corporate, or were you thinking more
Mhm.
like high level executives or the average everyday person? What was the
Yeah.
motivation behind writing this journal?
So my motivation was when I had my performance evaluation last year and started writing, it was easy for me to come up with my good stuff. It was easy for me to document my performance review. But then I started thinking about when I first got into corporate America and I was asked to complete a performance review and had very little guidance on how to do that and how to say, hey, I feel like I should be rated this high. I had to say, I feel like I should be rated a 4 out of 5. What can I say to have my manager be convinced of that? And so I really thought about those new to corporate America and
Okay.
challenges. And, maybe 3 years in, 4 years in, you can be completely new. But I thought about that person that's really saying, I'm kind of ready to move on, or I'm thinking about the next
Right.
steps in my career, or I'm thinking about moves I need to make that will help me stand out. And so the first thought was for those folks, but it also was for managers, people that have teams of people, direct reports. And they sometimes are trying to coach their people on what it is they need. And I've talked to at least 3 people that said, "Oh my goodness, thank you. I'm using this with my team today."
Wow.
Gave me a picture of the book and said, "Yeah, my team just needs some guidance on how it is they can do better and improve. Like they're doing their jobs, but how can they go above and beyond their jobs? And how can we work together as a team?" And this book is helping them do that. So initially it was for the newer employees, but then I started to expand the content to help managers as well. It's written from the perspective of what employees can do, but like I said, managers can take it and run with it.
Wow. And I think, you know, from my observation of going through the journal, it's very easy going. It's not overly complicated, and it's actually focused. You don't have a lot of graphics and things like that to deter you away from the focal point of what the purpose of the book is. It's your good stuff, so that you don't have all the lights and cameras. It's you really looking at your gifts, your talents, your skill set, without all the lights, camera, and action, and being able to really look at it and being able to present it. I love the colors, the blue and yellow, like the colors say so much, you know.
Right. Well, I have to tell you real quick, Nadira. My husband was like, "Where'd you get those colors from? These look like Michigan State colors." And you know we have Ohio State. And I was like, "Oh,
I knew it had to be a motivation that came from somewhere.
It wasn't from Michigan State, but it was, I'm like, I can't put red on here. Like, red can frighten people. So, we're going to go with that. But sorry to digress. But he's like, "How'd you come up? I don't know about Michigan State colors. You know who we rep." But but to your point, I wanted it to be easy. It is really just journal prompts. So journal prompts for people to just write down what their thoughts are. One page is a question or a thought. The other page you can write down. You don't have to necessarily go in any particular order. Like, I'm all about homework. I'm all about taking care of assignments, but sometimes we don't always want that super structure. So use it the way you want to use it. You don't have to go in the flow that I have it in. If you feel like you want to flip through and jump to something else, then feel free. And the other thing I've learned, and you probably know this too, Nadira, because you have journals, don't feel like your journal has to be so structured. I've been doing a lot more journaling, and I'm starting to write stuff everywhere. If I feel like I want to put a heart here, I put a heart there. If I feel like I want to write somebody's name on this page, I'll put it there. But when I was younger, everything just had to be within the lines, color within the lines. But that's not who everyone is. And I think our creative juices flow more when we go and draw outside the lines.
Right. And I think the key thing is you said prompts. So it really kind of like, I'm looking at some of the questions and going through some of the questions, especially when you got a lot of things going on your mind already, you don't, it's really simplified so that you can be able to really, they're thought-provoking questions to really sit back and analyze, okay, what am I really good at? What is it that, what skill set that I have that I can look at and say, I've accomplished this. And I think by the end of the journaling, you'll get to see for yourself, because we don't write things down. We tend to take it for granted that things go in and out of our mind. And I think when we get to a point where we start jotting, journaling is huge to me, because I've been writing in diaries since my aunt brought me my first diary when I was like 13, 14 years old. I was like 14 years old. And I loved it. And I remember reading when I got like 16, and I started to read all the things that I was writing about. I mean, from boyfriends to, to being pissed off at friends and family members. But I got to see, it was like capturing moments of my life that I will no longer get back. And I think the older we get, the more we begin to appreciate how important capturing memories capturing, different events and things that took place in your life, be it successfully in the corporate world or whether it's at home with your children. I think it's amazing when we get to a point and we actually can capture those moments and go back and look, because guess what? Tomorrow's not promised to us. Or, and things happen, life changes, and all we're going to have left is our memories of what we created and what we have. And it helps us in those down times where you start to feel inadequate, and feeling like you're not capable enough or you're not good enough, to be able to, to do something. You can look back and say, yeah, like I explained to you earlier before the broadcast, and I was saying that, I did a broadcast and I was talking about reflecting on your strengths. And the reason why I felt like that was so important, because we already, 90% of us already know the things that's wrong with us.
Yes.
We already know the things that we need to grow in. But when you get to a point where you get to, sometimes you need to reflect and look and see, I am good at this. I am good at that, because there, we have all kinds of thoughts that go through our mind that makes us, that makes us feel like we're not good enough, especially when you start to be in the corporate world, comparing yourself to other individuals, competing for the same position, or somebody that might, you might see a position that you're aspiring to be at. And we all go through those moments where we start to feel like, man, are we really going to be able to, are we qualified enough? Are we able? So I think when having this journal helps us to be reminded, like, yeah, you are good. You are qualified. To be able to do this, because when I looked at you just don't have any kind of questions. You have thought-provoking questions. And we're going to take a break, and we're going to go through some of the questions in the book, My Good Stuff. So guys, make sure, I'm going to go ahead after the commercial. We're going to put the website back up here.
Thank you.
We're going to go through some of the questions that Leva has actually put in the book, and she's going to talk to us about how she came up with the name Leva Styles. I am interested to really find out, like, what was the motivation behind that. So guys, make sure you go get your coffee and tea. If you're watching us, let us know what state you're watching us from and what city if you're here in the Atlanta area, let us know what city you're in, what side of town you're on. Maybe you can actually, if you're watching us on YouTube or watching us on Facebook, just let us know how much Sisterhood Check-In has blessed you. If you're watching us on a replay, you can still join in. We will still entertain and engage in the comments even after the broadcast. We're going to go ahead and take a small break. And after that, we'll be right back with my special guest, Leva Styles.
Bring it on home time. Gotta go big time. Bring it on home time.
I did a broadcast a couple of months ago, and I was saying how if you don't operate in your season, you're useless. So, and I gave the example of the fig tree, right? And I said that how Jesus cursed the fig tree because it was time.
IBG Careers is looking for customer service representatives needed to service their customers from home. If you're interested, please apply at www.
I've done some terrible things in my life.
Some of them I chose to do.
And I own these choices.
But others, I just feel like I was swept up in a series of circumstances that didn't involve my will.
They just sort of happened to me.
I've become the culmination of those choices and circumstances.
So I guess I just need to say it.
I really need some help.
Hi, I'm
Nadira Lewis, author, life, and business coach, and founder of the Becoming a Woman of Proverbs Wisdom Academy. I help women take their life experiences and turn them into life lessons. I also believe that just like hurt people, transform people can transform people too. Make sure you book a call with me at www.womanofproverbscoaching.com, and I'll see you on the other side of victory.
All right, and we are back here on Sisterhood Check-In with my special guest, Leva Styles. If you are watching again for us for the first time, make sure you let us know where you're watching from. Engage with us in the comments. We'd love to hear your comments and feedback on how Sisterhood Check-In has been helping you this far. So, Leva, we are back. Before the commercial break, we were talking about how you got to a place to being able to write your book. My good stuff, guys. If you haven't gotten her book yet, make sure you go to her website, levastyles.com. This is a journal. It says your employee performance journal designed to prepare you for those uncomfortable years, the uncomfortable year-end reviews with your manager. This is amazing. This gives you the opportunity to record all of your achievements, skill sets, trainings, thought-provoking questions to challenge you to look at some of the your experiences and things that you've gone through in the workplace, so that you can be confident when those year-end reviews come, and when it's time for that raise, you're intimidated and trying to think about, well, wait a minute, what did I do? This gives you an opportunity to reflect and see what you've gone through over a year's time frame. So, Leva.
Yes.
How did you get the name?
Leva Styles.
Leva Styles. How did you get the name Leva Styles?
There isn't a whole lot to it, unfortunately, but a girlfriend of mine years ago, I was probably 20, in my 20s, and she was writing her first book. This was before Amazon was even out. And she said, I need you in your editing skills, because, you did a resume for me before. I know you caught all the errors and edits I have. So I need you to edit my book. And I'll probably have a lot of books for you to edit. So you might want to come up with a pen name. And I was like, I get to pick up this. So I wanted something associated with my name, Lisa. And I'm like, but kind of with the flavor that, like, saying I was stepping up or stepping out, so leveling up. So I kind of like level, Lisa, kind of put that together. And then Styles is associated with a pen. So because I knew I'd be using the pen to edit, the word stylist, STYLUS, I thought just a play on that word. So kind of putting an elevated version of myself with a pen, and that's how I came up with it.
So why not Lisa? Why not be able to share, to be authentic in terms of letting them know this is, because you are in the corporate world, and you are sitting where many of us and people that may have been in the workplace is. Why not Lisa showing up as Lisa? And
why not use Lisa T. McAlpine? I think it's just more of a perspective where you can be something different. And I think that one thing I've learned in corporate America is we don't bring our entire selves to work. Leva Styles is a different version of me. It's still me, but it's just a different hat. So it's the version of Lisa that does something outside of the corporate space. So Lisa can still be an author. She can still write resumes. She can still edit. She can still own a trucking company with her husband. That's Leva Styles. The real Lisa McAlpine is just in this mold of corporate America. And so it's interesting because I had to get out of my way, but I pushed the book out on LinkedIn. So I was nervous because I know all these people from the 13 companies that I've worked with. And I was a little bit nervous, but just so much support. But they're like, Leva, they're saying Leva too, but Leva Styles, where did that? And I said, it's my pen name. It's a different part of me that you're getting. And like I said, we don't bring our whole selves to work. We're not always able to. They talk about being your authentic self, but this is a way that I brought myself into the lives of those in corporate America that did not really know that I had this other side as well. So
awesome. So how are you promoting this My Good Stuff? Are you promoting it mainly through LinkedIn, career fairs? Are you going to different conferences? How are you giving yourself exposure?
So it's only been a month since I've published it. So I've done the marketing primarily social media. And like I said, I was very nervous about publishing it to the colleagues that I've connected with and that I've known over the years in banking and risk. Like it just, it was a little nerve-wracking. But when I received feedback from other people on how valuable it would be for companies, then I'm like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. And so my next step is to go into career fairs and, have a table where I'm talking to the younger folks and help them out in terms of, hey, this is something that you might want to use with your career. And then also get into the corporations and seeing if this is something as whether it's an employee recognition tool. Nice. Hi employees, we value you. Let's give a copy out to each employee. Or, before those end of year reviews that they're sharing with their employees to proactively think of. So
that's actually pretty good. It's almost like when I used to work when I lived in Jacksonville, Florida, I used to work at this company called Converges, and it was an outsource. It was almost like with my virtual call center. I have a virtual call center. It's almost like a brick and mortar virtual call center. But the only thing is that they would have companies come in and like Franklin Covey. Love
yes, I remember that.
Oh my gosh!
I love when they came through.
Franklin Covey would come in, bring in the journals, the leather binders. Oh my God! I mean, there were waiting lists for every project to get into the conference because it was always the employers always gave you always provided the journals for you free charge. And I had my Franklin Covey planner for years.
Me too.
And I didn't want to get rid of it. I was like, no, I don't care if I can't find the sheets to it. I just want to keep it because it was something about that era of being able to have a planner or a journal, because Franklin Covey's planner and journal was a little bit different than the average journal. It was similar to your journal in terms of being able to question, giving you an opportunity to plan your day by the hour.
Yes.
And then giving you a page to write about specifics, because that was the missing thing in journals. You didn't have enough time. You didn't have enough papers to be able to write your thoughts and write out what you're doing in that day if you were taking it to a meeting or so. So Franklin Covey, and they taught you, which is something you might want to consider too, is that he came in and taught how to use the journal. So it was like, so now you felt like you were a pro. Like, you see somebody with a Covey, it's like, you're not supposed to be doing that. That's not what that journal is for. You felt like a pro. Like, this is what those journals are for. So
you took me back with that.
Yes. So it might be something that, because this is something that I'm thinking about implementing, also is being able to go into events and be able to talk about how your journal, teaching people how to use, because when we create it, we have different people in mind, different circumstances that are in mind. And I'm talking from a coach now, but we have different things in mind. And sometimes people need to, in order to fully appreciate the value that comes with the journal, I think it makes a difference to step in and show people how to effectively get the best out of your journal. And it teaches them to really appreciate it. And they start to, you may not be Franklin Covey, but somebody might look at it and be like, man, this helped me. This might help me get that extra, X amount of money, a year, because I was confident, and to be able to, I was confident enough to be able to take what Lisa has provided in the journal and allowed me, it provoked me to go beyond my comfort zone, you know,
Oh,
and
I
help me
love that.
like, so it might be something that you might want to really consider, even with your job or with other companies, to have them pay you,
Yes.
to go in and instruct, even if you have to boil it down to a niche of just a certain new employees,
Mm-hmm.
being
I
able to
love
sit
that,
down.
coach. I
Yes, sit
love
down.
that. Coach on. I love
Yeah, and sit
it.
down and say, "Hey, let me sit with your new employees."
Mm-hmm.
Every business, church, they have new member, was a new member class,
Orientation and
orientations. You have jobs that have orientations. This is an opportunity for you to kind of go in and show them the other side of who you are, and let them know this is how you get the most out of this book.
that's
Because some
right.
people might feel intimidated. They might feel like, I don't know if I'm a little unsure,
Yeah.
about my skill sets. You can really use that to kind of help them and boost their confidence level,
I love that.
while they're doing that. So that might be something that you might want to do. Connect with different women that are
Mm-hmm.
promoting different entrepreneurial companies. I don't know, maybe I even thought about with, even with my business, is being able to create and put together, because people like it when you can show them
That's true.
how to do something productive, when you can show somebody how to be better, and not just tell them how to be better, but show them how to be better.
They appreciate that so much more. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
begin to feel confident outside of, because most people deal with I don't know if I can do that, I don't know if I'm really. But when you get people in an environment
Right.
and you provoke the environment of confidence, and teach women, men, whatever your niche is, young
Mhm.
adults, young women, older women, retired women,
Right.
when you give them the opportunity to reflect on their skill sets and their gifts and their trainings and their experiences. That's why me being a life coach, I coach people, I help people take their life experiences, right? And turn
Mm.
them into life lessons, because I
Yeah.
feel like each of us have something to bring. We each have gone through something in our life where we are an answer to somebody's question.
That's right.
And though, if we think like that, how can we solve the problems that are around us in our community, in our business, in our home? Then people tend to take it a little bit more seriously. Just think about it. Look at all the different, when you think about women conferences, it's huge.
Yeah.
Why? Because they get women together in an environment and provoke change.
Mm.
So if we
That's
can
right.
become provokers,
Yeah.
and use our experiences and our expertise, to help women say, hey, look, you got that new job. Let me come into your business. Let me train your new
Okay.
employees. And they and even at the job they did, like, they had customer service people came in, and they would teach us customers. We used to get certifications on customer service. We felt like,
Wow.
let me get somewhere. Somebody don't give me good customer service, and I'm certified customer service. Girl, we just started, all of a sudden our
Listen.
stress rise up, and we
Yeah.
like, oh, poor customer service.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
won't notice it because you've been certified in it, right?
You've been certified. And
Yes.
you're bringing up so many. Yeah. And you make such a good point, Nadira, because employees know when you've invested in them, and they feel that helps improve productivity and employee engagement. So
Mhm.
you talked about Franklin Covey. That was one of the reasons that the bank that I initially started with, I was there for decades and left, but then I came back because they invested in their employees. And it was, we're giving you the full training, we're giving you the materials. You can re-up every year to get the new materials. And like you said, with the customer service training that you guys do, the certification, they're investing in the employees.
Mhm.
And so that's where I felt more effective and most effective throughout my career are those companies that said, we're going to show you how to do this, or we're going to show you, and we're not afraid or threatened that you're going to leave, because we know
Right.
that us building you the skill sets and what makes you better.
Mhm.
And so that is, one of the things that I got from the organizations that I've been in is all these talents and skill sets they're putting into you, but don't look away from them. Make sure that you're capturing those and documenting those. So,
and it gives a sense of validation.
Yeah.
When you put in the time, those certificates are recognition of
Yeah.
the time and the effort that you put into your own personal growth. So when you look at it, when they get your journal,
Mhm.
it's effort,
Yeah.
time that they've actually put in. And it'd be nice to give them, my good self certification,
That's right.
to be able to, so that they can feel, because I don't know, some people, assert certifications. They feel it's just something about being acknowledged,
Mm-hmm.
being appreciated, and it does something to a person's self-esteem. So
Absolutely.
being able to go into these companies and be able to present something as simple as thought-provoking questions
Right.
I mean, you could create a whole event around that.
A whole event, boy, with different modules. This one's on this, and yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Got me all excited.
Yes, that's what I do. That's
You
what
do
I
it
do.
well. You do it well,
Thank
Coach.
you.
Yes, yes. It's,
And
you
yeah,
were taking me back with the Franklin Covey, and
yeah,
the other thing I remember is when you're starting out, there are people that want to help you in corporate America. You have to seek those people out.
yes.
And so I remember when I was on a project and I was working on my performance review. And actually, I wasn't working on my performance. I was on a project. And one of the project leaders, she came over and she's like, remember, she's like, just create a folder. That's your good stuff. And every time somebody says every time you do something good, just put a little note and put it in the good stuff. Just make a little note. And so that stuck with me over the years. And the more and more, and I would look at it and the next year I go, oh yeah, I did that. Oh my goodness. And how can I do better than that? It was encouraging, to your point, and it helps build.
Yeah, and you light up when you reflect on it, and you light up because it did something it added or it ignited something that was already deposited.
Absolutely.
That was there. And that's and just think if it does that for you, how many other people,
Right.
what will happen to them when they get your good stuff, their book, My Good Stuff, and they begin to record all the things that they're good at, all the trainings. The one thing I liked about when I worked for the Department of Children and Families in Jacksonville, Florida, even though it was a stifle, even though it was like a temporary thing, I loved, for some apparent reason, all the certifications we were able to get.
Wow.
And even though, I was a crisis counselor at the time, there's a whole story behind that. I'm telling you.
I gotta hear it. Yeah.
And it was right around the time that Hurricane Katrina had taken place, and everybody had migrated from Louisiana to Texas or to Florida. And so I remember they had needed a group of people. And it was funny because this would have helped me so much during that time, because here I am always, and I guess I've always had this perspective of who I was based on where I came from, and based on my environment and surroundings at the time. So there was always this, this shadow of don't go above, don't do too much, because you don't want it to look like you're trying to XYZ or be better than this. And it was just things that they were mental blocks, And so I remember I'll never forget his name. His name was Sonny. He was a very, very wealthy man. Lived in a gated community where, I mean, it was equal to Eagles Harbor in I guess, what is that, Stone Mountain or Stonecrest? And it was a lot of, wealthy people that lived there. And I remember he said to me, he brought me to his house, and he said, I want you to come out to my house. I want to talk to you about some stuff.
Okay.
And I was like, come out to your house? Like, what? To Sonny's house? Like, what? And he took me out on the pier, in the back of the pier, and he said, you see this, Nadira? And he showed me like the water and everything like that. He said, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. And I thought, and he had been speaking to me since day one, because I went to him, funny or not, transitional moment. I went to him because I was needing assistance as a single mom at that time to get into some programs with Salvation Army to get some assistance with, assistance with rental. I was coming out of an abusive marriage. I needed assistance with moving into my own place and stuff. And my conversation with him, he made it so easy to talk with him. And he said, I'm going to connect you with this. I'm going to connect you with this organization, this company with the state of Florida. And they're going, and I want you to apply for this position called the crisis counselor. And I thought, oh, I can talk about a crisis, honey. Like I can tell you, And he said, I'm going to make a call. I'm going to call the man, Jack. His name was Jack. He said, I'm going to call Jack and I'm going to tell him that I'm sending you there. And he was over the community, over the program at Salvation Army. He said, I'm gonna tell Jack that I'm sending you there. And he said, just tell him that Sonny sent you. So I went there, and the first thing Jack asked me was, I was terrified because most of the crisis counselors that applied for the job were either licensed counselors, they were therapists. They had some sort of degree in that area of expertise when it came to counseling. And so Jack sat me down at the table, and here I am looking like, oh gosh, like I don't have any of the credentials that these people bring to the table. And Jack asked me one question. And he said, I want you to think carefully before you answer. And he said, what makes you think that you are qualified for this job? And I sat there and I started to think of all kind of intellectual questions, answers to come up with what could sound nice. And I was like, and all of a sudden there's this peace that came over me. And I stopped and I said, what qualifies me is my experience and my ability.
Yes.
Help based on my experience, or I can help somebody come through transition through crisis because of my own experience. And I began to go into depth, and he said, you got the job. And went from making I didn't have nothing to making like 50 something. I think it was like 55, 56,000 plus, gases and expenses, which added to another couple thousand, almost close to like 60,000 a year. No college education outside of aesthetics. I was a skincare specialist. And then he said, I'm going to send you. He would send us to the Department of Children and Families, and he would have us do these certifications, do abuse certification. So I started to my point and bringing it up is as I went through those certifications, I started to feel like I came in with my ability from my experiences, but as I began to develop and start getting training and I started to become an expert in the area of crisis and helping people go through that. I felt more confident as I went into these homes and sat down with these families and be able to not only bring resources to them because of my own ability to be resourceful. I was able to bring resources to them and be able to help them without a degree.
Right.
And it was a lot of people that were mad because they had degrees and they had put in the hour. And they were like, we want more money. We want more money. It's not fair that Nadira comes in and she's making the same amount of money as us. And I remember Sonny said to me when he brought me to his house,
okay,
he said, look at the thing. He said, don't let anybody limit you. Don't let nothing hinder you. And I say that when back to the reference of certifications and hosting events, it is important. It means a lot to the average individual. We love being validated and appreciated for our work, for our effort, for our experience. We love the ability to be acknowledged, for the things that we do. So I really, really appreciate some of the stuff that you're doing. I like this question you have right here. Have you identified a role within your organization that's appealing? You give people an opportunity to think outside, of where they are. And that's what Sonny did. He asked me thought-provoking questions to help me think outside my box. So it's good to be able to have something to say, what? maybe I was just, comfortable in my position as a customer service representative. But now I have the opportunity to see, well, is there anything else in this company that you might aspire to do? Maybe you want to be the manager, the lead, the team lead. Maybe you want to, own your own call center,
Right.
So the possibilities are endless. So I really
Right.
think that you can really take this idea
Yes.
and really spearhead it,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
really get a great response. I do.
It's amazing too how, like you, I didn't have that necessarily that confidence first going in. So I lacked the confidence because I started in corporate America as a secretary, I was a clerk. So all I did was order supplies and put them in boxes. I'm sorry, take them out the boxes and put them on the shelves and go get stamps for people, mail things out. And I never really thought about going that much further. That's pretty much all I saw. My parents weren't into sending us to college. I just saw myself moving and being the best admin ever. That was my goal. That was my highest goal. And I was talking to one of my mentors yesterday, in fact, and I said, I will never forget, how you explained that I could go to college. I knew nothing about college. It wasn't something that was on my radar. And she said, yeah, you used to sit in the library for the auditors with your little lunch and you were taking the books off the shelves, reading about white collar crime and reading about criminology and fraudulent activities, and you would take your notes. And I remember asking you, why aren't you going to college? And I was like, I did not know how to do it. And she took the time to explain to me that it was possible. And that's where it starts for a lot of us, is knowing that it is possible. Some of us don't know that it's possible to be outside of the chair that you're in and be in a different position. Some of us don't know that you can be a manager by doing certain things, or that you can get higher. And a lot of it's a formula. There's a format, a formula, a template. If you're doing the things that you're supposed to do, you can start to get in those places. And things are opening up. Things are never perfect, from a DEI, diversity, inclusion, and equity perspective, but things are starting to open up. You talked about Sonny and him being an ally for you. That's a big word in corporate America now, allyship. How are men being allies for women? Because women typically aren't at the table of some of those major discussions, or they're not being considered to be managers and in leadership positions, because Dan sees somebody that looks like him, that went to the same college as him, and that's who he's going to refer. And it's not always intentional, it's unconscious at times. And so how do we bring ourselves forward and let people know, hey, I'm sitting here at the table and I'm just as qualified, if not more so. And things like my journal helps you to think outside of that box of, I'm just sitting here, I'm just going to be the clerk, I'm just going to be the best admin ever. No, it's possible for you to be beyond that.
Wow. This is amazing. I'm just excited. I can't wait to go and fill up mine. I'm like, okay, you have asked some really questions, and I love when I am around or connected to people that challenge me to think outside the box.
Yes.
And even in areas of business. So it's like because to me, if you're around people that are constantly pushing you to be the best, because when we're born, and you remember you were there the first time we did the first airing of Dinner with the Coaches, and we were talking about unpacking your gifts. And I was saying how some gifts we can unlock and unpack ourselves. You get a box from Amazon or something, you can get it yourself. Be like me looking out the window when the Amazon truck comes. And then there's some gifts that require special tools, and then, you might have to you go into Walmart, they got that plastic on it. You got to take a knife and you got to cut special tool. And then there's some gifts that require professional installation. And I believe that, even though you might have the intent, you might be able to unloosen that box, but you can't put it together.
Yeah.
You have somebody who is experienced in that and being able to put it together for you so that you can get the full benefit. So I think this is really good because this will help some people unpack.
Mm-hmm.
They may have an idea of what they want to do in a company. They may have an idea where they want to go, and this is going to help them unpack, what
Yes.
they thought they already had by the questions that you have. And this is something you can hold on to, and like you said, when you're sitting down in that review and you're saying, hey, when that manager says, why do you think, I had a friend of mine, somebody that I knew, and he used to always say that he hated when it was time for the year in reviews because everybody would straighten up, everybody would be like, and he as a and this might be something you might want to consider. This is free. I'm gonna tell you, you might have a manager version of it to where they can the manager and the employee can, so when it comes, they're not waiting to the end of the review. They can give them some feedback through maybe an ebook or an electronic version where they're having periodic meetings where they're discussing areas of improvement. So by the time the review come, they're on the same page. And the reason why I say that is because I remember hearing him say that he had people, when it came time to the review, they were frustrated because they weren't going above and beyond. Right. And so when you think about getting a raise, the raise is because you're going over and beyond what you're supposed to do. And so he would talk about this one particular person, how they would get upset because even though this guy had a family, he would leave every day at 5 o'clock on the dot, sometimes 3 minutes to 5. He would clock out 3 minutes to 5 to be out the door, so that he can get home. And, I'm sure him and his wife was probably, sharing dates of picking up the baby from the daycare or whatever. And so when it came time to his review, there were other people that had the same situations and they had to stay later they stayed later. And so when they got their position, when they got their raises and he got really belligerent. And he was upset, like, I've been here. He had been there the longest. It's not fair. I've been here the longest, and and this person just started X amount of time ago. How come they get their raise? And he said, because simply they made the sacrifices that the company needed in order for us to make all of our jobs easier.
That's it.
You were able to leave a few minutes early because these employees decided to stay a little bit later to make sure the company's needs were met. You weren't willing to do that.
Absolutely.
And it's because of them that you were able to leave early and not really be impacted, your job be impacted because of the fact that they made the sacrifices. So I think it's really good. People don't really take into consideration all this. More money. I'm getting paid less than what I am. That's why I love Jim Rohn, because Jim Rohn always talks about you have two people go take the garbage out and one person get paid more because, and I think I said this on a previous broadcast, because they may have tied the garbage bag up, cleaned up around the garbage, and versus you might have just tossed the garbage and didn't really put a lot of emphasis on it. So the details do matter.
They matter.
To, you trying to get more money in a particular, and it helps because even if you desire to be an entrepreneur, most people don't realize your job as an employee gives you practice on how to be. I tell my son all the time, I tell him all the time when he was about to go into entrepreneurship, I told him, don't quit yet. I said, what you do is you give your 2 weeks notice, and then you do that job just as if you would. You're going to quit, and you stay into the very last minute because you don't know what's going to happen. Where you may
never know,
or you might have some of these people as your clients. You don't want them to look at you and say, as an employee, he was not really, he never.
Exactly. You always want to leave that door open. The place I'm at now, the company I'm at now, I think this is my 4th time returning.
Wow.
You never want to burn a bridge, and each time I left on amenable terms, it was, okay, this is another growth opportunity for me because I was a secretary for all these years. You guys did promote me, but I'm stuck in that secretary. You guys keep putting me in this box. Left for that reason. I left again because we had to relocate for family. And at that time, they didn't do work from home. but then COVID happened and it's work from home. So now I can work there again. But there were a couple other times, but you always want to leave the door open. And you always want to set an example of leadership, community, mentorship, and all of those things. So going back to the guy that you described, it's not just about doing your job.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I talk about in here is how is it you can support your team above and beyond? You know, if somebody is struggling with the project, even though it's not your project, how can you step up and say, I'll help you out with it? Your manager, you can see if she's overloaded with things. You know, are you saying, I can help you out with this? And you may not even know how to do what it is she's doing, but that's where I've gotten the most recognition, accolades is when I go, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I want to help you. And people are like, wow, like, I can't believe you. And I'm like, I didn't even know what I was doing. So, and then different opportunities to help other people. You talked about onboarding new employees. If you volunteer to say, I'll help them get up to speed on the systems, I'll show them how to do this. All of those things come into play as making you a good employee, and you're just checking boxes away. And then it becomes a part of you.
Right.
And then the other part in terms of community, a lot of these organizations have these volunteer programs because it helps them in terms of how they look financially in the Community Reinvestment Act. You know, are you volunteering? And you can record those hours, you know, for work. And they love when they can say, oh, Lisa spent 800 hours in community service. It helps our numbers look good, but it's also helping you. You're helping community, you've learned something, you're giving back, you're serving others. And so it's the full package. It's not just about Lisa did her, you know, 40 hours for the week. And that's why I say it is also for managers, because if you're doing your job as a leader, you're telling your people, those that are interested, what it is they can do to get to that next level. And that sometimes it's a hard conversation. I don't know why it is for managers, but sometimes it's a hard conversation. But if you're telling them, this is what we need to see, it becomes a lot easier for you and the employees, if that's what they want. If they're being honest.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes employees, I want a promotion. No, you really don't, because you're not doing all this stuff that you need to do. You just want money. You don't
as you're talking, thinking about it, you might want to you can also consider maybe doing a Facebook group, you know.
Love that. Love that.
You can actually cultivate employees, you know, have managers and employees come together in a group. And be able to work outside of their company and give, because some people really may intentionally want to do better, but may not have the support of a manager at their job. They might feel like the manager, they don't get along with their manager. So it might be good to have like a group. To have a group where there's actually a program that I actually use where I'm trying to cultivate my group off of migrated off of Facebook, because it gives you the ability to, you know, if anything happens, you know, to Facebook, that you have your community, but to be able to provide a community. Like I have a virtual call center. We have a group with all the call center owners where there's support for us, where there's changes that take place and we all get to inform one another, because, you know, sometimes people don't always tell you everything that you need to know, and you're fighting to get the basic information to get better, because some people that want to go higher, they don't want you going above them. They got that crab mentality, so they may not share with you everything that you need. But if you know, I was just sitting up here thinking, I'm like, that'd be nice to be able to have a group setting where you might have either people from that have the same type of job, or have managers that where they can come together and provide the support that help them alongside of. I got so many ideas for you, girl. I'm telling you.
Yes, you do.
I'm a visionary. Like I'm a visionary. I'm telling you. Yeah. So yeah, I see this becoming really. You can really take this and chop this up, like how my friend Shalina the Diva say, how you can slice it into pieces.
Yes.
Slice it into so many pieces and really, you know, really make it work for you.
I love it. I love it. That's what's up. That's
You
what's
have
up.
any final words of encouragement or anything that you
Yes.
want to add before we actually end the broadcast? You guys give Miss Leva Styles a hand. Like, she's been
Thank
giving us some
you.
really good stuff
Thank
over here.
you.
I love the
Um,
vision and everything that you're doing. So help us out. How can an average person, an average employee,
mhm.
or an aspiring manager, how can they become better with
Yeah.
your book, My Good Stuff? What kind of advice do you have?
Well, I have to say, my whole thing is don't let life impede your legacy. So
Hmm.
there's different things that happen in our lives, and whether it's on the corporate side or the home side. So if you're more focused on, I want to be with family, I want to spend more time with my loved ones, be that and do that. So I'll
Mm.
be honest, I'm in a space in my career right now where I'm sort of taking a step back and saying, I don't necessarily need all that. I'm okay with where my salary is right now. I'm okay with where my incentive compensation right now. I'm not pushing to be that in the company. Not,
Yeah.
but I want to mentor people, so I'll help you get there. I want to coach people.
Mm.
And so that's where I'm at. When you're in a space where you're like, no, I want to move up, or I want to be recognized, I want to be in a certain position, I want to run the show, then really spend the time to say, how am I going to do this? And always look at relationships as a stepping stone for that. Anybody you come into contact with, how can this person potentially help me get there? And when you're in the company, get that as much information as you can, and don't be afraid to just sit down. I have a tip in here. Don't be afraid to just sit down and talk with someone and say, I just want to get a beverage with you. Can we get, a soda, coffee, and let me just hear about your story. You don't have to ask a whole lot of questions. How did you get to be in this senior manager position? Who helped you? And then just listen. Don't, sometimes when you do those mentor mentee, we want to blah, blah, blah. Just listen and let the person talk and get information and then move on it. So don't just sit, you have to move, you have to take action. And that's why the book has journal prompts, because it requires you to do something, not just write down it's okay, I need to take action. So that's the biggest thing is whether you decide to be on the, being at home side, or you decide to be in the corporate space, let that be your motivator and keep going with it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I asked for a lot of help throughout my career, a lot of help. And if you're humble and you're willing to do the work, you'll get there, and the sky is the limit. Just like Sonny told you, it's limitless, limitless. So,
And I would like to add too, make sure you bring a pen and paper. I remember one of my very first mentors was younger than me at the time. And he said to me, he brought me in front of somebody and he said, Nadira, where's your pen and paper?
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, I thought you were just introducing me to somebody. And he said, whenever you're in the presence of somebody that's great and they're getting ready to impart life into you, you show respect and thanks by bringing a piece of paper, a pad or iPad or pen to show that they're not wasting their information. That you value what they bring by bringing a paper. And it was funny because I didn't appreciate that. And I sold that because my daughter and her best friend, I remember one time we were talking and I started giving out wisdom about a certain particular area in their life. And my daughter grabbed a paper and a pen, and her best friend grabbed a pad and a pen, and they began to write. And I thought about that moment, which was like 20 years ago. And I thought, wow, how she listened to me tell that story to other people. And I never forgot that. So when I'm in the midst of people that I consider to be great, not in terms of stature, but in terms of their ability to impart into my life, I don't take it for granted. And I make sure that I got my iPad. I make sure I got my iPad or I got my phone recording. So that I can show them that that I value the information, one, that they're giving me, that I value it. Even, and sometimes I record it, that I value the time that you take to impart wisdom in my life, because I know it didn't come easy for you, and
I
so
love that.
that would be my advice to that. What I want to add is, if you know you're in the process of somebody that is in the position you want to be in, or they have the ability to impart, have those moments, respect their time, get a pad, a notepad, a pen, a paper, a recorder, or something, and be a good steward over the information that they give you, so that it won't fall to the wayside, because somebody might take it and might toss it to the side and don't do anything with it. And then somebody else might take it and build a humongous empire off of it, because
Right.
of their ability to respect the person that took the time to pour into them.
So true. That's excellent. That is an
Yeah.
excellent tip. Yeah.
Tell everybody how they can reach out to you for assistance.
Sure.
I know we have your website, but I'll go ahead and put an ad on there. How can people reach you?
Sure. So as you mentioned on the website, www.levastyles.com or levastyles.com, and also through Facebook, Leva space Styles. You can look me up there. And for the book, you can go to my website, or you can purchase it on Amazon as well. So feel free to purchase it on Amazon. But yeah, you can also connect with me directly via email at info@levastyles.com. info@levastyles.com. So
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, info@levastyles.com.
yes, and I'm also on LinkedIn, and you can go and look up my good stuff on LinkedIn, and you'll see me there. Oh, let's see, Leva. Oh, you might want to change the follow to LEVA.
Oh, LEVA. Okay,
You got it.
LEVA. Okay,
You got it.
gotcha. So follow Level Styles on social media,
Yes.
especially. And you said you have a LinkedIn. Is your name LinkedIn also?
Yeah, so for my name, you can just look up My Good Stuff. You'll see it there. That's probably the easiest to go, My Good Stuff. Because, or you can do my corporate name, which is Lisa T. McAlpine. You can go look for that there, but it might be easiest to do My Good Stuff.
Okay. So
Can
go
I
ahead.
just tell you, I loved your book. Like,
Oh, do
you
you?
are, if you guys haven't gotten this book, first of all, she's in Barnes and Noble. So how many people make
Yes.
it there? So
Yes.
proud. And this, I read it in one day because I couldn't put it down. But you're a strong woman, very strong woman. I don't know how you did it. There's some real life horror in here, but showing some strength and some courage. And I'm so proud of you. So, you guys who you're seeing here, this is a superwoman. She said, "What happened to me? How did I get here?" We know she's a superwoman because she survived a lot. So
Thank you.
thank
I
you,
appreciate that.
Nadira.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's just part of my story. I didn't want to, because there's so much. That's just part one. I'm working on my second book. I'm almost done with it. I'm still in writing. It's called Don't Die in a Storm.
Wow.
So I have, so I'm working on that one. I'm really excited that hopefully that one will be done by the summer.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So yeah, I believe, like I said, if we take the time and look at the wisdom that we can, that we've gained, instead of looking at, oh, this happened to me, and it's everything is about perspective. And I talk about that in the book. As always, you may not control everything that happens in your life, but you are able to control two things, and that's your perspective and your response. And how you respond based on your perspective will change you from the inside out. And it will be the foundation of how you build your life from that point of view.
You are a testimony to that. For sure.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be in Barnes and Noble. I was like, oh my God, Barnes and Noble.
Awesome.
But, it's amazing to see that your story and your victory and the things that you've gone through didn't happen for anything. Didn't happen. No. And I have another announcement that I can't quite, reveal just yet. I'm waiting, but it's going to be dynamic, and my story will be heard among the airways, and whether it's verbal, whether it's through my books, it's going to be known. So I can't wait for the opportunity to be able to share that when that opportunity actually solidifies. So thank you so much. I appreciate all that you have contributed to the community in terms of your, you being an employee yourself, and being able to contribute to people so that people can say, yes, she understands, she's been there. She knows exactly where I'm coming from. She's not writing looking down, but she's writing looking next to you and saying, I understand, I know the things that you struggle and go through. So thank you so much for accepting my invitation. You are always welcome.
Thanks for the
Sisterhood check-in. And I definitely look forward to being able to work with you. Hopefully we can, work together and we can get you started with this whole thing with your My Good Stuff events. I'm telling you, I've got some ideas.
You got me ready. I'm gonna get ready for it all. Yes, I love that. Awesome. Iron sharpens iron, boy. You done gave me some good stuff.
Yes. Let me tell you something. I have learned that, the things that I have learned to put into use, everything that's on the inside, everything that I've learned either through experience or whether I've learned intentional, we got to be able, we don't know how long we have on the earth.
No.
We don't know whose life we're going to impact. And we just got to get to the point where we just got to take the things that we're called to do seriously.
Yes.
And just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we just got to be perfectly ready.
Amen to that. And that just be my problem is I had to put a couple notes over here. Progress over perfection. Done is better than perfect, because I would edit the mess out of a book over and over. And I just said, Lisa, this is your deadline. And whether it's ready or not, you get it out. That's it. That's it.
Yes.
So it only took a couple of months, but all of it was already inside of me, because that's what he does. I was already ready. I just needed the pen and paper. So
yes, definitely. So if you're an aspiring author, you have an obligation. If you have come through something and you have survived it, you have survived it for a reason. So you have an obligation to the people to the hearers or the beneficiaries of your book. You have an obligation, if you survived it, to tell your story. Story branding is huge. People want to know. That's why reality TV is huge. People want to know how you came through, how you got through certain situations and circumstances, whether it's personal or business. So story branding is huge. Tell your story. Share with others how you got from point A to point B. Because we tell everybody, we don't really tell people when we're entering into something. We normally don't tell people when we're going through the process, but when we get to the end, we tell them all the juicy stuff. But there are some people that are stuck in the process and need to be taken by the hand and instructed and saying, this is how you come out. This is how you get from here to here.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, Lisa, again.
Thank you
for having me on a Sisterhood check-in. Again, if you have a testimonial, excuse me. If you have a testimonial and that you would like to add here for our listening audience here in the Sisterhood check-in broadcast, make sure you send me an inbox at Woman of Prov, WOMANOFPROV. Thank you so much, all of my viewers on YouTube, for helping me get 4,000 views. Woo!
Nice.
Thanks to all of you that watch my reels, my stories, and my YouTube. And I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I'm grateful to each and every one of you that do watch my reels and support me. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I got a handle down on YouTube. You go to the @Woman of Prov on YouTube. Be able to watch all of my shorts and videos. And if you need one-on-one coaching, I am a certified life and business coach. So if you need help with being able to organize your life, your thoughts, your experiences, and want to be able to position yourself to be able to help others on their journey, make sure you go to womanofproverbscoaching.com. And I love to be able to help you as I have assisted others in their journey in business and in life. If you haven't already done so, make sure you also visit womanofproverbs.com where I have all of my merchandise, Women of Prov merchandise, from everything from handbags to yoga pants, you name it, we have stated it. So don't just say it, wear it. So make sure you visit that. And if you haven't already done so, if you haven't joined our wisdom clinic, make sure you also visit us on womenofproverbs.com. Sign up for the wisdom clinic, where we're going to be adding daily wisdom regarding health, life, business. It's amazing. A lot of women, you're not going to just only have wisdom from me, but wisdom from other women that are also a part of the group. So that's why I mentioned the group setting, because people thrive in the midst of a community, when they're around other people. So if you're not a part of the Women of Proverbs, the Wisdom Clinic, make sure you join at the womenofproverbs.com. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday with Thomas and I, Visionary Coach, on Sunday at 7 p.m. with Dinner with the Coaches. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have an amazing weekend, and I will see you on Sunday. Thank you so much. Hi. Do you have a testimonial that you would like to share here with the Sisterhood Check-In audience? We'd love to hear from you. Make sure you send me an email at becomingawomanofproverbs@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Facebook at the @handle Woman of Prov. And we'd love to share and hear all the wonderful things that God has done in your life too. Have a wonderful